What's going on, everybody? My name is Zach Hartley and welcome back to another weekly watch list video. In this one, I'm going to walk you through my portfolio. We're going to take a look at the market conditions and then we're going to dive into the stocks that I am watching going into the weeks ahead. So let's jump right in. Okay, so my portfolio has not changed very much in a little while now. I'm still holding Coursera. We're up about 41% on it, but I do have a pretty tight stop loss on it. This trade has worked out exactly how I wanted and even a little bit better. So I am locking in my profits as we go up. Udemy, I got into this position because my options expired in the money. We are currently down about 0.3% on this position. And I have a tight stop loss on here as well. I think I'm at 970. So this one is close. If both of these got stopped out next week, not really the end of the world. Coursera is doing extremely well. NASDAQ, let's talk about the market conditions here. We're going to go through NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow Jones. NASDAQ, we are starting to break through some previous resistance prior to that all-time high that we had right at the kind of end of 2021, beginning of 2022. We have not been able to break through this sort of 15,000 level right here, but we are still in a bullish trend. A little bit of turbulence right now, but overall, the NASDAQ is recovering. The S&P 500, still pretty much the exact same pattern as the NASDAQ. You can see we're starting to break through some levels from that high. We have not broken through the second level right here yet, around 4,600. And so it's going to be interesting to see if this support line holds up over the next few weeks. When it comes to the Dow Jones, again, we have a support line. We're starting to break through previous highs, but we have not broken through basically this, what I would call second level. And so bullish direction on all of our indices, a little bit of turmoil right now and a little bit of choppiness as we approach this next level of resistance. Whether or not we break through, only time will tell. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, we did see a nice little pop here on Bitcoin. We ran up from around 25,000 up to almost 27,000, right, hovering around 26,500 right now. So it was a nice couple of days in Bitcoin. No major movements, but it was definitely nicer than what we've seen over the last few months. When it comes to oil and gas, the price of West Texas Intermediate crude or light crude oil continues to go up, now at $90. I've been pointing this out and talking about it for months. This is where you want to be. Lithium is not where you want to be though, because the price of lithium continues to go down and down. Hopefully we find some support right here, and that could act as a great entry point into the lithium industry. But as of right now, there's not a ton of lithium stocks that are doing phenomenally well. When it comes to earnings, there's not a whole lot going on this week. We do have Steelcase, General Mills, FedEx, Flux, a couple of companies, but nothing major. When it comes to market conditions, a couple of things I want to point out here. Higher oil prices could put more pressure on inflation. When the cost of energy is high, inflation is high, and that means that the Federal Reserve might want to increase rates or keep them higher for longer. Something to keep in mind here. Mortgage application volume is also at the lowest level in 27 years in the United States. Canada, I assume, is going to be pretty much similar to this. And that is kind of scary. Like, that means, so here's why it's scary. Let me explain this. So when mortgage application declines, or when the number of people applying for mortgages declines, that means that there's going to be less people in the market looking to buy houses. When there's less people in the market, that means that the demand for that basically supply of housing is going to decrease. And when the demand decreases, but people still need to sell their homes because of somebody passing away or they're moving and got a new job or whatever reason, if the demand decreases but the supply remains anywhere near the same, it is going to reduce the price, because those people are going to have to take lower and lower prices in order to get out of those properties. And so what this signals is that if this continues, the price of residential homes primarily, and maybe apartment buildings and condos, is probably going to go down because the demand for those properties is decreasing, likely because of those higher interest rates as well. Now, speaking of interest rates, the U.S. Federal Reserve is going to announce their next interest rate decision this week on September 20th. The Bank of Canada just announced their interest rate decision, and they decided to hold it steady. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. And when it comes to the overall market, it feels like artificial intelligence is still the hot trend. I do think quantum computing is going to pick up, and personally, I think these renewable energy operating companies are going to do extremely well over the long term. And so I am still kind of betting on a few other trends. I haven't really been able to capitalize on the AI trend, but that's okay. I want to share some of my research with you. Okay, starting with these renewable energy operators, I've talked about Brookfield Renewables a couple of times. They have major support here right around $38. They dropped all the way down to $34, and then they have slowly worked their way back up. This was a previous level of support because the price had bounced off of support several times here, and then it broke through support, and now that level is likely to act as resistance. And so going into this week, I am very, very interested to see, does this $36, $37 level act as resistance and keep the price below that? That's what I'm watching for. If we see a breakout above it and we see a breakout out of previous highs and our moving averages, that could be a sign of a trend change into a bullish direction, and it could be a good entry point. So that is where my mindset is at with Brookfield Renewables. And what's really interesting about this is that when you look at this company in the renewable energy operating space, NextEra Energy is kind of like the US equivalent, but a whole lot larger. And their chart looks very, very similar. Very key level of support right here where we have bounced off it several times. We broke down through support, and now we are reapproaching support, and it's actually already acted as resistance on Friday. And so I am watching NextEra Energy very closely for pretty much the same play. Next one I want to point out to you here is Fiverr. Fiverr is a company I have used. Fiverr is a company I'm familiar with. Fiverr is a company I understand, and I like Fiverr. However, they got very overpriced going into COVID, and because of that, the price has fallen down significantly from like hundreds of dollars down to $24. And if you look at this, we've got some major support here where the price has basically bounced off $24 several times. It's not really going any lower, and the company revenue is still increasing. And so I think personally, there's a chance that this company is undervalued right now as long as things go well over the next kind of 6 to 12 months. And so if you can get into this stock hovering on this support level and ride it up with a stop loss at $24, you can get in and out with a very, very small risk to reward, with a very small risk and a very large reward, because if it runs back up to 45, you've at least got 50% on your money. And if you set your stop loss at 24 and you get in at 28, you're at like a 16% loss. So the odds look pretty good. I like the risk to reward ratio on Fiverr. I think it looks good in my mind, and I would be setting my stop loss at either 23 or 24. Next one here is Drone Delivery Canada. This one is really tough to do technical analysis on because it really does move so much based on news. They just put out 2 very positive press releases though recently. You can see the action that it has had in the stock and that it has made. This big green day was one of those announcements, and then recently one of these green days here was also an announcement. And so it's starting to move back into the right direction. I think we've got some major support right here around 20 and 25. And at this level, the valuation is starting to look really reasonable for the potential that this company could have. And so I am reconsidering an entry point here in Drone Delivery Canada, especially if we can sort of break out of this bearish trend here. Last company I want to talk about is Tesla. Tesla is a company that I trade in and out of basically all the time, every couple of weeks or couple of months. I just got out of my position the other day, but we bounced off of support here. We're coming back up to 300. I am looking for a rejection at 300. I want to see it come back down to support. I want to buy in off of support, and I want to get back up and ride this up. If we break through 300 directly, that is also an entry point. So that's what I'm watching for Tesla. I love the company long term. I like Elon Musk. I like what they're doing, and I think it's a good opportunity. It just comes down to timing with this company, because honestly, saying that like at the beginning of 2023, the company was worth $100. Now it was worth $300 like 6 months later. Nobody knows what Tesla is actually worth, and so it really is about timing or just holding long-term enough. Those are your only 2 options when it comes to Tesla. And so that's how I think about it. And if you're interested in learning more about any part of this, I have all of my courses for free on Skillshare. I have a course on day trading. I have a course on options. I have a course on dividend investing. And I have a course called Stock Market Fundamentals that walks you through everything you need as a beginner to know and understand how the stock market works. I have over 20,000 students on the platform, almost 1,000 reviews throughout all of the courses, and over 3 million minutes of watch time have been spent on that content. So I highly suggest checking it out. It's totally free for that first month, and it's the best free resource that you'll be able to find online. If you got any value out of this video though, please remember to click that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out and it helps the channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.